Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Podcast, the world's greatest podcast. I've got Keya here today from Keya's Chips. This is going to be an interesting conversation. It's a great product. I've been enjoying them myself. Little plug here. The packaging is great. The product, it tastes really interesting. It's got a good story behind it. It's been catching a lot of buzz on social. But interesting to learn more about it. Where did it come from? Where are you going? What gave you the ideas in the first place? So, Kaya, take it away. What brought you to this decision to make a chip in a market filled with chips? Why did the market need your chip?
Hi, Peter. Thank you for having me. Um, let's see. I was born and raised in Bombay, and I've lived in the US for almost 20 years now. I married a white guy who didn't like Indian food. And I'm like, what am I going to do with you? Like, I can't divorce you over this? And I had to find a way to introduce him to my culture in a softer way, in a way that was approachable, if you will. So the Bombay blend, the Bombay spice chip that you're trying, that blend I used to make for myself at home all the time. That's the one because I was so homesick. I would put it on tacos and eggs and potatoes and salads. And one day I'm like, why don't I put this on his favorite snack, which is a salted potato chip? I gave it to him and he loved it. He fell in love with it. That's how he learned to eat Indian food and other cultural food. And it just kind of was a massive aha moment for me. I'm like, oh, this is how we can bridge the gap. Indian flavors are very complex, and this is how we can make it approachable. So that's kind of how the product came to life. But the reason it came to market is a different story altogether. I'm actually a pastry chef. I'm a Food Network champion. I run a custom dessert studio. And in 2020, the bottom fell out. We saw a new market opportunity and we started to make these modern American Indian to go meals. And with those meals, I would send teeny little bags of masala chips as a thank you for letting me pivot in such a big way. And not even a week later, customers are calling like, "Hey, can we get more chips?" And the first call, I'm like, "What chips? What do you want?" I forgot about it completely. And that's how they came to market. So overnight, we had to learn how to create a CPG product. Put it in a bag, make it shelf stable, slap a label on it, go deliver everything. So we did that for 3 whole years. We hand made them, hand packaged them, sent them out in stores and without any kind of in-store activations, demos, store support, nothing, they sold week after week like gangbusters. So that was the market fit, proof that I needed to go all in. And that's where we are now, which is the launch 2.0 with the grown-up packaging and the whole 9 yards.
So you knew before you launched, you had a pretty good empirical evidence that the product had a market for it. It wasn't just anecdotal. You had some sample size,
Yeah,
but that was
totally.
before you had your package design, right?
Correct,
So you
correct.
knew that the flavor profile of the product was going to work. It makes a lot of sense because what you're doing is you're giving people new flavors, but in a very familiar format, right? The
Correct,
form
right.
factor is familiar. The concept is there. It's just try this new twist on something you already like. So you're not asking people to do too much, right?
Right. It's an easier education piece here. Our motto is literally built on flavor backed by culture. We're leveraging culture on beloved American snacks. That is literally our motto.
And you had some amount of notoriety from what you've done on Food Network, so that never hurts. But the product still has to work on the shelf, right? And
Yeah,
in and
yeah.
online. So where did you go? What was that process like? When you knew you had something, you knew you had consumer demand, you knew you had a recipe that worked and a concept that worked, right?
Hmm.
Where did you go to find the right design? Because this is half the battle, and you guys nailed it here. I'll just
Thank,
hold them both up. They look cool. Even
thank
if you're not in the mood for a chip, they still look cool. They make you in the mood for a chip.
That's right.
They inspire that impulse buy, which is really important in retail, but
True.
it works well in direct to consumer too. So, where did you where did you turn? How did you ideate on that?
Oh, that's such a good question. So I knew what India has to offer, right? When it comes to spices. And certain spices you can only buy in India because they grow there. And that is a big part of the story here. And because I'm half Indian, half American now, I wanted to support both economies and find a way to have an Indian spice blend, but American potatoes. So it's my Indian American dream, if you will. So I went back home to scale the recipe because it's one thing to make 1 pound of a spice blend, it's another to make 1,000 pounds of it. So that took 2 years to perfect because we're using single origin clean spices directly from the farmers in Northwest India. So they're pulling out whole garlic, whole turmeric, whole ginger. We're drying it, grinding it, and making our blend. So now, because it's fresh crop, it's volatile, right? The flavor is different each time. So that scaling, fine tuning the recipe took a very long time. When it comes to packaging, so full disclosure, my older brother did all the branding and packaging. We
Well,
worked on
he
it
did a
together.
good job.
I know he's brilliant, and he has never done any CPG packaging ever. Um, but we both worked really well together, and we studied the market for 2 years. We saw what was out there, and we kind of really made a product with a lot of intention. We stuck to what we feel good about, and what we want to represent in the true way. So the icon on the front of the bag, that's me. There's a poem around the icon that my husband wrote. In the back of the bag, there's a design element in the middle with the seam. That's a sari border from my mom's sari. The hand in the back is my daughter's hand. We just stuck to what we knew and who we are, and just kind of representing Indian American at the same time.
There are a lot of brands that will put that personal touch onto their product.
Yeah,
And I do think that's important. I do think there has to be a connection. I do think that there is a CPG karma to having real meaning behind a product and it makes a difference. But there's a lot of products that have that personal touch that don't translate to the mass consumption.
true.
And you guys, your product does, right? So I didn't know that that was the sari border. Now that I'm looking at it, it looks like a sari border.
Yep.
But before I knew that, it
Okay.
still looked cool.
Yep.
So
Yep.
you did, what you've done is you have something that has intrinsic meaning to you,
Right.
but it also has aesthetic value to a consumer that doesn't know your story, right?
Right. Exactly. It's
It
exactly right.
catches the sh I used to be a buyer for Whole Foods for many years. I used to tell people if you're not catching the customer's attention
In
in
two
3
seconds.
seconds,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
50 feet away,
Yep.
you're gonna have a really hard time. And that was before TikTok. So
Yes.
so now
Yes.
people's attention
True.
spans are that much shorter,
So
and
true.
you have 1 second to get people's attention.
Yeah.
But you've got vibrant colors, you've got a catchy image, right? It's a stylized image. It gets people's attention, right? So
Hmm.
now you've got somebody staring at your product, whether it's online or whether it's in the store. You have them looking
Yeah.
at it. You've got a
Yeah.
chance.
Correct. Exactly. You're exactly right. And we knew that the packaging will sell the first, second bag, but the flavor is going to sell the third, fourth, fifth
Yeah,
bag. We're
yeah,
very aware of that fact. And luckily we launched mid-January, right? We're in 82 doors now, and we have done production run 3 times already. We were gonna do one every 6 months. We've done three in 2.5 months. So it's been pretty incredible.
yeah. Well, I'm not surprised because I think there's certain things that are never going to go out of style.
Yeah.
I remember when plant-based and kale and vegan was really coming into vogue. This
Yeah.
was now, more than 10 years ago.
Oof.
But working in retail at that time, meat sales were never higher. They
Right.
continued to go up because people are into what they're into and they
Mhm.
like food and they like snacks and they like indulgences and they like things that are new, especially in America. We're a very innovation forward culture.
Absolutely.
And there will be some people that turn away from snacking altogether there will be some people that don't want a chip
Mm.
altogether,
Mm.
and that's okay.
Yeah,
There's over 300 million people in this market to
right.
target
Right.
as a country, and
Hmm.
there's more than enough room for people that like chips. They buy them, they eat them, and
Yeah,
they want one that tastes better.
right.
And that's what you've
Clean.
got. Yeah, you've
Yeah.
got it. It's a
Right.
so I didn't know the full backstory behind your spice blend,
Hmm.
but I can taste it though. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm somebody that buys single origin spices at home, and I have a mortar and pestle, and I'm probably in the one
I
percentile
love that. Yeah.
of people in America that are doing that. But it makes smart business sense, right? Because
Hmm.
the potatoes are heavy
Right.
and perishable and expensive to ship. So get those domestically.
Correct.
The spice blend, you can buy it at the source in
Hmm.
India.
Hmm.
It's light, it's transportable, it has a shelf life to it. You can make it the way you want it at
Yep.
the right cost, get it over here, marry those two together. I think it's a really smart idea.
Thank you. Thank you. It is the purest form of spice you will have right now, period. There is literally nothing but spices on here.
That's awesome. That's all you need. I mean,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of people that are taking a lot of these same spices. I'm reading the ingredients, right? I
Hmm.
mean, almost all of these spices are anti-inflammatories.
Oh my God. Turmeric. Oof.
Right,
Turmeric is a band-aid for your insides. Like it's
right.
so good for you. It's
It's
so
really good for you. I mean, the fenugreek is also
uh,
anti-inflammatory.
yes.
There's tons of health benefits to cumin and clove and coriander and nutmeg too.
100%. 100%.
And so people are taking that in a supplement form, and there's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with that. But
Yeah.
you can, if the quality is high, which it is with yours, you can actually get anti-inflammatory properties out
Exactly.
of a spice blend on a potato chip
Yeah.
and kill two birds with one stone and have fun. You know,
Exactly.
it
Yeah, you're
tastes a
exactly
lot
right.
better to eat the chip than it does to swallow a pill if you have to choose.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And I wanted to make a high quality product accessible, right? We're priced pretty competitively at 5.49 a bag. Now everybody can access good food. It doesn't have to cost $10 a bag anymore. That was the whole ethos behind it. And to answer to those who may not want to have a chip, we are working on a sprinkling blend that we're going to sell on our website. Where I don't know if I can reveal this, but we want to expand across categories, right? So we are working on a popcorn that'll have this flavor profile. There's a snack mix in the works. There's a third chip flavor coming up. So we've been busy working behind the scenes.
I was going to ask about that
Yeah, it's
because
so good.
if
Yeah.
you're doing well with two SKUs, there's definitely room. There's always room for a third SKU. I always
Yes,
tell
sir.
people, when I
Yeah.
was a pilot too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think it's smart. So really, the secret sauce, so to speak, is the spices.
Yeah.
You
100%.
and the proprietary blend and your know-how, the sourcing of the spices, the single origin spices, which a lot of people don't realize. It's like not all cloves taste the same. I had cardamom yesterday
Hmm.
from Guatemala that tastes completely different than cardamom that
Oh,
I had from India.
massively different. You're right. Yeah. And
And
people
and
don't know that. Yeah.
and they
Yeah.
might both be very good, but they're completely different,
Completely
right?
different profile. Correct. Yeah. Yeah.
So you can take that and apply it to all sorts of snacks. And
Hmm.
then your shtick is not we're the best at potatoes. Your shtick is that we're the best at spice blending and we can apply this to all sorts of different things. I think that's really smart.
All form factors. Yeah.
I mean, I as a customer, I'm interested to see where that goes, right? Because
Yeah.
I do a lot of home cooking. I'd
Hmm.
love to be able to buy it in different formats, even if I'm not in the mood for a chip today. How do I get the provenance of your spices, right?
Exactly. That's exactly right. And the partners we work with in India are just brilliant people. They hire these rural women, who otherwise may not have a job. They hire these rural women to hand sort all these spices. Like this is all hand done, and they pay them the same wage as the men in the factories. And now these families are sending their kids to schools. Like there is so much good that's happening here by buying one bag of chip. It's just, yeah, it's a lot of good karma gone into it.
That's great. So you can as you grow, you're going to have more influence there, and you'll be able to influence other brands to follow suit too.
Absolutely. It's so within reach, you know. It takes a lot of work, but it's completely worth it. And knowing what my motherland can produce, I could not do that, you know.
Oh, I mean, people just in peppercorns alone, right?
Yes. Oh my
Cherry pepper,
God.
people have no idea
Insane.
what's really out there. People
Yeah.
just think, but what people experience in terms of ground pepper is
Hmm.
stale powderized pepper. And when
Yeah.
you taste like Telecherry peppercorns from Malabar or Kerala, or like there's a whole world in there that people haven't
So true.
experienced, and you
So
you
true.
can take that and run with it. It's a beautiful
Yes.
because there's a lot of good companies that do sell spices,
Hmm.
but unless you really know how to cook, you
Mm.
can't
You
use
don't
the
know.
spices,
That's exactly
right?
right. Yeah.
So, and it's a great aspiration to teach people how to cook, but not everybody's going to go there.
No.
And
Right. And that's okay. Yeah.
you can just bring people right there, even if they don't want to cook. You could just
Precisely.
skip that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's
Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
That's so true. And you know, funny thing is, because somebody asked me like, why do you think that Americans? Because my whole shtick is that we need to desegregate the way we eat, and this needs to be in the mass aisles, not in some ethnic aisle or international aisle. And I'm like, because you know, the reason Americans deserve this is because cultural foods in this country have been so watered down. You know, people are used to having the poor spices that are filled with fibers and colors and additives. Um, People deserve this quality. You know,
yeah.
that's it's worth it. Yeah.
They'll understand the flavor. I mean, flavor
Yes.
is a universal language, right? So
100%.
they might not be able to put words to it. They might
Mhm.
not know that it tastes better because the turmeric and garlic had a certain provenance from
Completely true.
Gujarat or Punjab. They might not know that,
Yeah, it's from
but
Gujarat, by the way. Good job, Peter. I love that.
I know my Indian geography, so
10
but
on 10. 10 on 10. I
but
love it. Yeah.
but they will know that it tastes good,
Different. Yes,
right?
exactly. Like
That's
there's
all they need
yeah.
to. My son, when he tasted it, he knows that it tastes really good. That's all he's got to
That's
know.
all we care about. Yeah.
And and they might not learn the history. Some of them will, some of them won't.
Yeah.
But as long as they're appreciating the quality of the product, they'll
Hmm.
have no problem spending an extra 50 cents for a higher quality
True.
product.
Very
And
true.
that 50 cents goes to people on a sustainable basis that need it, right? So
Absolutely.
everything comes together at that point.
Absolutely. This
But
is
it,
a really beautiful ecosystem coming together.
but it comes back to the product has to be good.
Yeah.
It has to
Bottom
be good,
line, bottom line.
right?
I mean, look, I'm a chef, right? At the end of the day, if I don't make food that tastes good, then what am I here
Yeah,
for? You know,
that's right.
that's the number one priority. The packaging is a cherry on top of the cake.
Well, I'm excited to see where you go next. I'll be following along on social media and we'll be cheering for you as you get more placements out there. And on the D2C side, too, you're doing great. So
Thank you.
good luck. Have fun. It's been a great conversation.
I'm so honored. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.